Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Welcome into another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, and the world's smartest podcast. All opinions expressed on tonight's show are our own, and not necessarily those. Okay, they're all mine, even yours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And not necessarily those of Libservative. Now, the Democratic Party might tell you that my opinions are your opinions, or you're a terrible person. We're going to get into that here tonight. They're finally figuring out that they need men to win elections. And their attempt to try to win men back is absolutely cringe and is going to be a total disaster.
How do we revert, Terry?
How do I know that? Because, well, I don't know if you guys have noticed, although some people might disagree, but I am a man.
You're gay. You're gay.
Right. It's also Pride Month. Corey, nothing's coming through. Are you muted somewhere? Corey, are you muted somewhere? Somewhere.
I was.
There you go. We got him.
I said, yeah.
By the way, he is always is Corey Walsh.
And he's Dan Griffin.
Now continue your thought.
Oh, I was saying, yeah, it's.
Or I should say restart your thought.
Right. Yeah. Good luck. ADD.
No,
it's Pride Month. So if you're able to live your life freely in a scenario where you weren't able to fucking 30 years ago, 35 years ago, then good for you.
Obama and Larry Sinclair had a steamy love affair.
And that's okay. That's
because it's
so
Pride
good.
Month.
So happy for them. Very, very good.
Go outside, nerd.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But yeah, no, it's
Congratulations to all who celebrate. In fact,
and
Corey's,
so you know what's
Corey's
interesting,
TikToks tonight are actually themed around Pride
Oh,
Month.
there's a
So
couple
stay
of
tuned.
them, yeah.
Stay
But,
tuned for that.
One thing that I think personally I'm happiest for the LGBTQ community right now
Barack
is-
Obama?
no, is the fact that all the big, like, it isn't commercialized anymore. You know what I mean? It's almost like kind of just in the fold. Like, it's like, all right, you gay, you're not, you trans, you're not. It's not being pushed through some sort of grift by a big corporation or anything like that. That is like, I don't want to use the word forcing because that sounds right wing, but it was like being put in front of everyone. And it was a fucking grift. It was the biggest fucking grift, and all it did was hurt that community. And because look what happened. And then the community got hurt twice, right? They got this push behind them being like, look, all these big companies and everyone supports you. And so they had this huge boost of confidence. And then it also was pushed on everyone. And there was people like, come on, enough is enough. And then it made these people think, oh my God, they don't like us. When they really like now there are homophobes out there that eat their hot dogs sideways, but a majority of people were just like, okay, I get it. And then when enough of those people said, okay, enough is enough, and they started boycotting the stores doing it, it's awfully funny when their bottom line was getting affected. They were like, oh my God, nope, we're not doing that anymore. The jig is up, folks. And then so then a minority group in our country was strung along to grift on, and then had the rug pulled out completely underneath from them. And then during that whole time they were being attacked by people who were just saying, all right already. And it's like, I could give two shits. I go to pride parades and stuff like that with my wife. It's a lot of fun. So that shit doesn't bother me.
Every
because
marginalized group is taken advantage of for
yeah, but the
bottom line
LGBTQ
purposes.
community was something special because then you add in actually all the surgeries and stuff, and then there were companies making buku bucks on that stuff. When a lot of times it might not have been someone who needed the surgery to make them feel
Very
comfortable in their
successful,
body. They
very
could have
rich.
been, told that like, no, you don't have to play with dolls, and no, you don't have to wear dresses. Just however you want, act however you want. There was these gender roles and gender silos that people were in that they were finally breaking. Like I feel like people felt the need to have to change their outward appearance to be able to justify doing something that was like a gender role. You understand what
My
I'm saying?
question is, without Target pushing,
There was just a dramatic zoom out and zoom in on my camera. Did you see that?
yeah, it's happening a lot. It's very bizarre. Without Target and other companies pushing Pride merchandise, what's Matt Walsh gonna do?
Oh God, thank God he'll finally be able to shut up too.
Now he'll find something else. It's Matt Walsh needs Pride and needs like LGBTQ grifting like Zionism
Well, he's
needs
a culture warrior.
anti-Semitism.
He's a culture warrior just like anyone else.
Very
is a culture
successful,
warrior on the
very
left.
rich.
Culture warrior for the right. But right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. All these big corporations realize that now it's hurting their bottom line, and so they're showing their hand by saying, "Yeah, we really didn't give a fuck," and they're just stepping away from the LGBTQ community, and now it's not as pushed in everyone's face through commercials and everything on people who, like I said, eat their hot dog sideways. They're the ones. No, so now they're not seeing it, so they're not thinking about it, and they let them in their little world go, yeah, fucking Trump did it. And it wasn't fucking Trump, because the corporations just realized they couldn't make money on it anymore. So like it was literally like taking a pot off an open flame. It went from a boil to a simmer. There's still some people out there trying to say shit and do things like that, but it's not like it was. It's not nearly as in your face as it was before.
I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm
It is
sorry, I
America.
thought this was America.
It is. That's why we're celebrating Pride Month.
David Hogg,
Hogg.
as far as I know, not gay. As far as some people might
You're
argue
gay.
some people might argue that's questionable, but that's okay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
We need we need that soundbite for this month.
He was busted by Project Veritas telling the truth.
Yeah, David Hogg was busted by Project Veritas telling the truth. You're 100% correct.
I have the video that he was busted for. Have you haven't seen this yet, have you?
I think I saw snippets of it. He's basically doing the whole showing like a magician is never supposed to reveal their tricks, right? He's literally out there revealing
More
like,
or
the
less.
backroom
Yeah,
deals and
and
stuff of the DNC.
what I thought was the most interesting part was when he essentially calls out. I mean, calling out what we already know, but calls out. But it's a lot more interesting when it's coming from the inside. So a little bit of inside baseball, inside information about Nancy Pelosi and her stock trading endeavors.
I don't agree with the stock trading stuff. I mean, she gets better returns than almost every hedge fund in this city every year. Some of these members of Congress make trades that are like way too well timed to not have like insider knowledge. They happen to be some of the best financial analysts in human history.
Have you spoken against that?
I've talked to them in the past, but it's also like I know that if I pick that fight, it's going to be harder for us to get gun control passed. So I pick my battle.
Oh, so you're
Like
agenda over your
the hardest part
principles.
about my job is I just want to burn everything down because it's all so corrupt. But you got to pick your battles and slowly build your momentum.
Well, that's how he's basically explaining again how it all works. Kelsey's talked about that. Bernie Sanders has talked about it.
We're not going to go after Pelosi. One, we wouldn't beat her, even if we wanted to. That's part of it. But two,
He's talking
It's
about
an
the game
unnecessary
of
fight to take when there's other members that are far weaker. And I would say Pelosi's actually very good at her job. I don't agree with the stock trading stuff.
You don't?
No. Some of these members of Congress make trades that are like way too well timed to not have like insider knowledge about.
So,
and it's a huge problem.
do you think that's how Pelosi is worth
Yes.
hundreds of millions of dollars?
Yes. I mean, she gets better returns than almost every hedge fund in this city every year.
And you don't think that has to change?
No, it does.
How would you change that?
You just ban members of Congress from owning stock.
So
Have them put their assets in a blind trust.
you're going to prop up candidates who oppose that? Is that your goal to prop
Yeah,
up
I
candidates?
mean, in part, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a long haul. There's 435 members.
Yeah.
And most likely 430 of them are doing the same thing, which is why they don't want to. I don't know, but I'm just stating.
I think it's a pretty good guess.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Just conveniently. They happen to be some of the best financial analysts in human history.
Have you spoken against that?
I've talked to them in the past, but it's also like, I know that if I pick that fight, it's going to be harder for us to get gun control passed. So I have to pick my battle. Like the hardest part about my job is I just want to burn everything down because it's all so corrupt. But you got to pick your battles and slowly build your momentum.
Dude, you know what would make him look like he had balls the size of bowling balls?
Or Andrew Cuomo?
Is if he, after this came out, he comes out and goes, yeah, I stand by everything I said.
And he won't. I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I would love nothing more than for him to prove me wrong in that. But the thing that still is, this is the reason why he's going to get ousted from the DNC. It's not going to be.
Well, they're already working on it. They're already trying to black.
Oh yeah, they were working on it before this, and that's what's so funny. It's funny you mention that because my first thought was like, how did the DNC find a way to plant Project Veritas in a position where they could interview David Hogg saying these things so that they can have an excuse to get him out of there? But then I also thought but that doesn't make any sense either, because any person in the public that sees this, well, I have vehement disagreements with David Hogg. I mostly don't like the guy. I think he's an absolute grifter. I think he's grifted off of a terrible tragedy.
I really don't think he's a grifter. I don't agree with his gun stance at all. But even in that video, I don't know. He's like a little all the time. Like he thinks someone's gonna pop in with a gun.
Corey, would he be in this position if his school tragically hadn't been shot up when he was a teenager?
No, he wouldn't be. But Ralph Nader wouldn't have made seatbelts legal on every car if his best friend didn't die in a car accident.
Well, that's anti-libertarian.
But you understand what I'm saying, right? Like sometimes post-traumatic things, for good or ill, would make you change your whole life.
But he's not going to get ousted because he, wants to push his unconstitutional views on guns, because he wants to get rid of, I don't know that he's openly said he wants to get rid of the Second Amendment. Actually, I don't even think, I don't think he has said that. There's actually a video of him skeet shooting or something. And people are like, oh yeah, David Hogg actually really loves guns. What a phony.
Right.
But he's not going to get ousted for things like that, things that are genuinely unconstitutional. He's going to get ousted because he told the truth about the inside baseball of, in this case, the politics of the Democratic Party and the corruption of the Democratic Party. And make no mistake, the same shit goes on in the Republican Party. And if you're telling yourself any different, honestly, this show's probably not for you. But
you think he'll get Pelosi or Clinton? Oh, and they'll probably make it real fucking poetic too. They'll probably make him do it with a gun. No, that's tinfoil hat. No, that's a joke, obviously.
I feel like he's more likely to get Michael Hastings.
He might be. Yeah, he
Because
might.
I'm sure he drives a new
I don't think that would happen though.
car.
I don't think that'd happen. They're just gonna
oust him. You know why? They've gotten a lot smarter about that kind of stuff. It's too obvious now. It's too obvious if a guy that's like not really going along with what you're selling in one of these two parties for them to just mysteriously die.
They either all of a sudden start compromising on their principles for votes, or they become an independent or leave the party.
You know what though? I don't think
and most of them just fall into the fold. Look at AOC.
Well, and the other thing is this, I don't think David Hogg presents a danger to the Democratic Party in that way. I think David Hogg is being more viewed as kind of a pain in the ass, right? To the boomers in the Democratic Party.
It's Madison Cawthorn.
Yeah, it's not really like a dangerous thing for them. Like nobody's going to get busted for like a large pedophile ring because of David Hogg. You know what I'm saying? Like David Hogg is just making their reputation look shitty right now. And that's so fair. Like we'll just blackball him, and that'll probably
we'll blackball him. We'll throw through some sort of ghost money pack.
But then
$3 million against the Democrat running against him in the primary.
But then, yeah, that's exactly right. And then what'll happen is David Hogg will get dejected, as he should be, by the Democratic Party. And what he'll do is he'll run over and he'll do an interview with Laura Ingraham or some moron at Fox News. And all the Democrats will go, see, he was right wing the whole time. He's a right winger now. He'll get Joe Rogan. they'll just force him out. They'll just force him out because they don't go along with because he doesn't go along with the narrative. And as much as I don't like David Hogg, we talked about this last week, and I don't like what he represents and what he stands for. He is right about this shit.
Right. And having someone like that in the party, like what's the party's stance right now already is gun control. Like, oh no, another guy in there with gun control. But at least this guy wants to fucking deal with like accountability, transparency, corruption, and things like that.
But then also kind of the sleazy thing he said in that video, it's like, you want to talk about inside baseball on how politics works. Whether you're talking about it, the national,
for one thing, yeah,
you have to you basically have to go along with all of the stupid, like the unprincipled party lines in order to get your like one little pet project through. And then you have, as the interviewer said in the video, there are 435 members of Congress. So the amount of concessions that you have to make to get one little section of the one little pet project that you want to pass, you have to go along with 434 other members of Congress, or at least half of that, in order to, and so like you wonder why nothing of any real substance in government ever gets passed, other than the things that they all agree upon, which is the thing that we talk about on this show all the time, about how these two parties are on the same fucking team and it's not yours. Right? How do they gain more power? How do they gain more money? How do they gain more influence?
Right.
You know, they do what Trump's doing right now with Palantir, which is one of our next topics. This is politics in the United States in 2025, and it's probably been the politics in the United States for the last 60 years. It's only just ramped up and become more noticeable because of the internet over the last 20 years. And then you sit there and you go, man, why does the government want to regulate the internet? I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Like, some of this stuff has really simple explanations. In fact, I would argue most of it does. You know, the old George Carlin joke of it's a big club and you ain't in it. It's like, I know it's a fucking cliche at this point, but
isn't that the wildest part too? Is like everybody fucking knows that. But they have these walls put up so high on the actual like political parties that like you just can't penetrate into the party to talk about it, even though all the voters know about it.
Well, in the way it's basically sold to you is always like, yeah, you know what? We haven't done good enough. We've been real shitty to you. But you know what? This other guy gets
right this time.
we're going to get it right this time. And also, if this other guy gets elected, oh man, it's the end of the world. And so they just keep ramping up the catastrophization of elections and politics. And you and I look at that and go, how do people not see through this?
Right.
And
Every
then we
election
take a step
is
back.
the election of the lifetime, or this is the election for democracy. They say it over and over and over and over again.
Well, then you and I also look back and go, I feel like you and I both, we always have to take a step back and realize we thought this stuff too at one point.
Yeah.
We're not better than you. We're not better than you for thinking this. And that's one of the warnings that I gave to like my more principled Trump voter friends over this last election. I'm like, everything you're saying to me is it makes sense from the perspective of somebody who just doesn't understand how this how this political system works right now. I get from a principled perspective why you think that Donald Trump coming in and cutting costs and fixing the economy, right? That's been a trope for fucking 40 years now. But if you're new to the political game, I get why you fall for that shit. And we're seeing, what are we, 6 months into Donald Trump's presidency? We're seeing nothing but Donald Trump letting down, not the Democrats, not the lefties, not even the centrists or the libertarians, but letting down his own base. This is what every politician does. Vote for me, I'll fix it. And then what do? They find themselves in the back pocket of
Yeah, he's out there supporting a bill like he did Doge. And that's why Elon Musk is out there losing his mind, because he talks about how he's going to stop all this fraud, stop all this waste and everything like that. And then turns around and then is supporting a bill that's going to add to the deficit, add to like the debt, It's just there's that. There's the Plantier
that Doge
thing.
took away, just to add to that, and everything that Doge found and is being cut is just being given to the Pentagon.
Right.
Not you, not me, not infrastructure.
They're talking about nixing the sovereign wealth fund now. They're talking about like, oh, that $5,000 stimulus of the money returned isn't going to happen now. Like like,
oh, by the way, tariffs are back on,
back off. Like,
there's a deadline
for
them again.
That almost just feels like insider trading at this point.
Oh,
like, oh, I'm going to turn tariffs on. The whole market collapses.
Oh, let's buy low now.
Oh, gonna take them off. Like it just
market goes back up again. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's not. Yeah. Go ahead.
And it's just no, I mean, like that, like I mentioned the Plantier thing, like here we are on our show, like pulling out our hair, screaming about the Biden administration doing this what was it called? The Ministry of Misinformation. And they're like, and all the Republicans were doing the same thing. And then a short year later, the Biden administration is creating a database that
the Trump administration,
or the Trump administration now is creating a database that fucking rivals the Patriot Act.
Yep, they're paying Peter Thiel's Palantir to essentially the way it's being framed is it's supposed to integrate like all of the government agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, all of them into one large database.
Yeah.
And the fear is, and this is a reasonable fear, because this is fucking Patriot Act shit, right? This is stuff MAGA's supposed to not be a big fan of. Well, now you're going to have
all these departments being able to just access all of this information.
All the time. On you, on me. They don't like what we're saying on this show.
And if you're a Trump supporter and like you understand Trump's reasoning for whatever reason, right? And you're like, well, yeah, I got nothing to hide. It's like, okay, how about when the next Democrat's elected in 4 years or 8 years?
But Corey, that's
You know what I mean? Like, are
this-
you
this
fine
idea-
with this type of access that is okay right now? Are you okay with this type of access when it's the guy you don't like?
Right. I mean, at least it's not Kamala, right? At least it wasn't
Right.
Kamala.
Well, it's gonna be a Kamala in 4 years.
or 8 years or whenever it is.
Or
Like
8 years.
eventually a Democrat is going to get elected. I know you want to pretend like that'll never happen again, just like Democrats wanted to pretend a Republican was never going to get elected again after 2012, right? We like the unbelievable short memory of Americans when it comes to their emotional politics is infuriating. In fact, we have to make light of this. We have to make it funny. Spike Cohen had one of the greatest tweets of all time. Bazooka Jew, one of our probably my favorite libertarian politician, and certainly one of yours too, Corey.
When it comes to libertarians, between him and Dave Smith and Berman Supreme.
Well, Dave Smith isn't really a politician, although he might be at some point. So
And
Spike
Berman
Cohen
Supreme.
tweeted out. Spike Cohen tweeted out. It's a good thing Harris didn't get elected. By now, she would have introduced the most expensive budget ever, raised taxes on everything, destroyed Elon's plans to cut government waste, and probably even hired Palantir to spy on all of us more closely. All we could hope for is that the courts would stop her. Boy, she would have hated that. Progressives detest constitutional limitations.
Because now, what people perhaps had never seen before can be seen to know what's possible.
And it's just like, it's just such an obviously beautiful tweet by Spike Cohen because
Because
that
Trump is now
exactly
doing the exact same
what Donald
thing
Trump
as
is
what the
doing.
Republicans were saying that the Dems were going to do. And
It's
Burn Slots just said the right wing bans free speech. Well, you're kind of seeing it right now on campuses. You know, it's just
so does the left. Let's talk
for
about
a different
Twitter files.
country that's not even ours.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the
And I'm not talking
left,
like you have to always give the caveat. I'm not talking about the people that live in Israel. I'm not talking about the Jewish people in our country, but the government of Israel.
put
Our
that disclaimer.
country is. Oh, I'm sorry. I was reading the text, reading the comment. No,
so
our
Burn Slots also
country
wants to
is
know-
literally trying to stifle free speech and freedom of protest, which is also protected by the First Amendment in our country because they're saying things about not even our own government, but a different government.
So Burn Slots also wants to know what free speech does the left ban? Corey, where do we start? Do we start with the truckers in Canada?
Okay, well, so that if we're talking about strictly U.S. government, then we can't talk about the truckers of Canada. But we're talking about like liberal governments.
We're
as
still a
whole,
liberal lefty government.
You know, a lot of the European governments, people were getting arrested for just saying things on Twitter and stuff like that. If you remember when the whole TikTok ban happened and everyone was going to that Red Note page, I was going on there quite a bit too, and I was actually like conversing with people in China. And they were saying there that you could say whatever the fuck you want. You just cannot talk about the government. In Western European countries that are supposed to be democracies and free speech, if you insult someone else, you can get fined and you can get in trouble for that type of shit. That shit, like, there's more freedom of speech, essentially, I guess, in a different way. It's not necessarily an equal comparison, but it's just, yeah, the truckers, like Dan mentioned, in Canada. Like,
I got a great one from the US. Like, let's start with the Twitter files. See,
okay,
this is
so that's what I was going to get to. I was going to say that so when you said the left bans free speech, that was a lie. Well, I don't know. It depends on what you're saying, man. Are you talking about the left as like a whole side of a spectrum globally, or are we talking about the United States? Because the United States, the left, and when we say left, we mean Democrats and liberals, because we have to distinguish left and liberals,
which aren't really left at all.
No, yeah, two very different things. The left necessarily wasn't doing it. Okay, so if you want to say the left bans free speech, then no, I don't think the left like essentially bans free speech, but the liberals and the neoliberals sure as shit do. They're the ones that they were using terms like hate speech and all of that stuff, but about trans people and saying you can't say certain words in LGBTQ community, that you can't say certain words or else you can get in trouble for it. But that's what the right is doing now if you criticize Israel. It's the same exact thing right there. And you also can talk about how the liberals, like under Biden, he wanted to institute a ministry of misinformation. So what that means is they wanted the government to be the arbitrator of what they think is truth and not truth for you. Trump is like he said, meanwhile, Trump is saying Biden was executed and replaced with a robot in 2020. Trump says a lot of stupid, crazy shit. We don't like Trump either.
We here at Libservative cannot confirm that. Nor do we care enough to do so.
No, he like yeah, it's just, but Dan, he says crazy enough shit to
would
make
I be surprised if he
would
said
be
it?
surprised? No. Like
Nope.
And so Biden was trying to put in this ministry of truth. So what the government was essentially trying to say is you're too stupid to figure out and pilfer through the information and you figure out what is true, that the government has to do that for you. Now, as Tom Sowell says, there is no answers, there's only trade-offs. You are trading off a lot of idiots also come into their own wacky conspiracies, but I bet you think you're smart enough that you can make your own decision on stuff. And you don't need a government telling you how to do that, because here's the thing. When the Democrats put a ministry of misinformation in, and it's all the information you like because it's the president that you like is in, guess what? Trump gets elected. You don't like Trump. That ministry of misinformation doesn't go away, and now it's in Trump's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all these building blocks of foundations.
What do we say?
Each party that when it isn't necessarily that they're against free speech, that they're not against the free speech that you like, but they're still chipping away at that First Amendment and building a foundation for the next party to come in and then just build on top of it. And then you get to a point where you are in a dystopian future where the First Amendment doesn't mean shit.
It's ultimately the realization.
And they're both at fault because they're both adding to it from their own ideological side.
It's ultimately the realization that most people come to when they grow up, which is that Republicans are not your enemy, nor are Democrats. The government is. It's pretty simple.
It's a uniparty. They're two of the same.
What are you talking about when you say left versus right? Right? Like, are you talking about Republicans versus Democrat? Well, they're fucking corporate oligarchs anyway.
That Biden didn't do, and you're right. No, it did. It got nixed. It got created. There was a lady I forget her name.
Yeah, and we also need to stop Trump. We also need to stop Trump from doing the same shit. Just like Biden
exactly.
stopped.
Like we're literally talking about this Plantier thing right now, and
it's almost like big government is your enemy and not some idiotic party that,
because they're on this. Yeah, the two sides are all sponsored by the same fucking people. They're sponsored by Big Pharma. They're two big conglomerates that work together and create manufactured division within the people in our country to keep you and I from targeting them and arguing over a trivial thing.
Look no further than donations. It's so funny. Like,
and that's okay. One more thing, but nobody is stopping Trump. They can't. The judges are frightened. No, they've been obstructing the things he's been doing constantly, like the tariffs right now. Like it's in the court system.
Some of the deportation stuff, which, by the way, it's so funny.
What's funny is the deportation stuff. He still hasn't deported as many as
I was just going to say that. He hasn't
or
even
Biden.
He hasn't even reached Biden's deportation numbers yet, and his supporters are all like, "Oh, he's going to clean up this country and send all those damn immigrants back to where they came from, and we're going to get all our jobs back." And he hasn't even kept up with Biden's deportations.
It's all a fucking joke.
I have nothing else to say.
It's just bullshit.
Palantir though, and so I guess to add to the Palantir thing, again, this isn't a Republican versus Democrat thing. This is like Palantir got its first contract under Barack Obama, and I want to say I don't remember the year, so don't fucking throw a fit if I get the year wrong, but it was like 2008 or 2010. He brought in Palantir to keep data, I want to say, for the IRS for sure. And I think there was one or two other agencies. And then Trump came in the first time and added ICE or one of the deportation agencies to it. Biden came in and took the ICE stuff off, but kept Palantir definitely for IRS data and others. And it's like, dude, they all work for the same goddamn people. And this is why I get so upset with, I don't get upset, but I get a little bit, oh, honey, with the people that voted for Trump that I'm close to that voted for him for what I think are principled reasons for them. And I'm going, and I'm texting, and I'm texting them and I'm having conversations with them right now. I'm like, dude, I fucking warned you. And you know what they're all saying to me? Dude, you were right. That's what they're saying to me because they're getting it. They're getting it where in the same way that I started to get it when I was a 20-year-old, wet behind the ears kid who was starting to fall in love with politics in 2008. And I went to those polls and I went, man, this Barack Obama guy is going to be awesome, man. He's going to fix everything. Holy shit, was I wrong. Not only was I wrong, essentially the opposite happened. And there are a lot of people that were not that interested in politics before 2016 and even before 2024 that are starting to understand this stuff.
Yeah.
These people don't give a shit about you.
You could argue, well, I won't even get into that one yet, but let millions of Americans lose their homes, but bail out the banks, but then make industries that create jobs for the workers grovel to get them bailed out. Drone striking weddings. Essentially under the NDA Act of, I think it was 2012, he basically made propaganda on Americans legal. He, I don't know. There's a lot more stuff there. What else is there? He expanded on that Patriot Act.
Obama and Larry Sinclair had a steamy love affair.
You brought all the crazy. You brought out all the crazies out of the woodworks, making up acapellas. I don't know. There's a lot, man. There's a fucking lot that he did. You could argue, it's arguable that it was his administration that made the Ukraine war what it is today. The Maidan coup in Ukraine happened under his watch. You got Victoria Nuland on the phone with that recorded phone call saying Przyokev, or however you say his name, was the guy. They put a more Western-friendly guy in after instituting a coup. Now we're closer to nuclear war than we were in 2014. And then,
and then it's just you
want to talk about good things, right? Like the Iran deal.
Before you do that, and then every single administration, Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter, just adds on to the last one from a negative perspective. It doesn't matter. You don't have a choice, like George Carlin said. So you actually want to say good things about Barack Obama. Your dad would be very disappointed in you.
Oh yeah. No. Obama was the last president of the system before everything got turned on its head, because then everyone had more access to information, for good or ill. A lot of people go down some crazy fucking wormholes. Look how fucking Q turned out.
Yeah, that was it.
But then you also have people that are able to have a voice and talk about things on bigger platforms, like a Ryan Grimm, like a Matt Taibbi, like a Charlie LaDuff, like a Sagar, like a Crystal.
Yeah, I mean, media
like a Jimmy Dore, and because now you have a
like
more
us.
decentralized.
You didn't even mention us, asshole.
Wow, look at me, what an asshole. But
you're fired. Get out of here.
Decentralized media intake now, where you have people talking about those things. Because like if it was the same media that we were consuming it that our parents were consuming when we were kids, us being like, millennials, we would be in the same little funnel with our silos on in a binary world where this country good, this country bad, type like thought process. And it just we've created a world with a lot more critical thinkers, and there's a lot of crazy ones out there that have voices now that they probably shouldn't have. But
yeah, you know what, Corey,
you're
I
also
think
getting a lot more
is,
smart people with bigger megaphones.
I think a lot of that stuff is like when you start to come to a realization that the system or the society or whatever you want to call it that you live under is not what you thought it was. It is it's a blow to your ego, and it's also a blow to your sensibility.
That's what woke used to mean.
Yeah, and I think a lot.
That's what woke used to mean.
Yeah, you're right. I think a lot of what happens when that first happens is your brain fucking explodes, and you can go one of two directions. You can either fall down the QAnon hole, you can become this conspiracy theorist that just, every single thing you hear about the people that fucked you over is true. Or you can take a step back, take a deep breath, and look into this stuff critically. And so I think we are at a point in history with the internet and the access to information, and a lot of it's bad information. I'm not going to use terms like misinformation because I think that's stupid and it's overused for silly reasons. But like, there's access to a lot of bad information, and there's access to a lot of good information. And so,
like, if you're going to use,
you have to be able to determine. You have to be able to determine for yourself which of those are good and which of them are bad. You might go down the QAnon rabbit hole at first, realize it was crazy, come back, recalibrate, reset. So like we're just at a place where people are all fucking over the place. Because and I'm going to say this, and then I'll let you go, Corey. I do think it's a good thing. Like, I don't know if this is like a Michael Malice white pill or whatever it is, but I would so much rather have that informational chaos than what we had before, where every American citizen was just fucking asleep at the wheel. And it's like, well, I voted for Reagan, and I love Ronald Reagan, and I am going to vote for every single Republican from here on out. Or I thought Bill Clinton was a great president. Yeah, he got that blowjob. That was a tough look, but I really liked what he did. The first president, whatever it was, 50 years to balance the budget. I am going to vote blue no matter who. Like less and less people are asleep at the wheel. And when you don't have that wheel on autopilot anymore, there is like a moment where you're just like, you panic. Oh shit, what do I do? Where do I go? Like, a lot of people are in that spot right now. And I think that's a good thing, because that's going to lead to more people eventually getting to the space where we are, where it's not Republicans, it's not Democrats, it's government. Just stop. And if we had an actual libertarian party that wasn't a fucking hot mess and an absolute fucking disaster, because most real libertarians I know do not support the Libertarian Party, because it's basically just turning into what the Democrats and Republicans are: infighting, not focused on principles, focused on donations, focused on money, garbage. If we actually had a Libertarian Party, we'd have a shot. But anyway, I don't know what you were going to say, or I know you have ADHD, so you probably forgot what you were going to say.
Nope. I remember. I was just going to push.
Gay!
Happy Pride Month, everybody.
No, I was gonna say, you're like, I don't like the word misinformation. I don't even want to use it. And I was like, no, like, that's a part of the whole process of
that's just because the definition has been fucking,
sure, it's been bastardized, but it's still like, misinformation is like implicit, right? Not necessarily implicit, but it's passive, I guess is the word I'm looking for. It's passive. Like, misinformation is shared because it's like someone was misinformed and they shared something. You know, like a lot of memes are misinformation. But then there's disinformation, which is there to directly make you go on a different trajectory and believe something false explicitly or actively. And I think the two words are important to still keep in your vocabulary because you need to be able to recognize those. Like whenever you see a meme, don't just believe it. Look it up. You know, like Google it and like find it from not just
dude,
like
and
Fox
funny too,
News
because
or
like
MSNBC.
AI makes it so much easier now.
Yeah,
It really
really
does. Like
does.
even if AI is programmed by people that are like leaning one way or the other, it does still leave articles. So like when I ask ChatGPT something, which tends to be a more liberal leaning, you know, AI chatbot, I can see what it leaves me, where it's getting its sources from, and I can go, okay, that's still questionable. Let me dig a little bit further. You know what I mean?
But it gives you a launch pad.
Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Even if I know that the answer it's giving me is bullshit, which by the way, guys, sometimes ChatGPT does give you bullshit.
Yeah, it's not 100%. You know, they're
That's why I hate
saying that
when
there's
people-
some AIs out there though that are like ignoring prompts now and saying no,
dude, and that's why like
which
if
is
you want to,
which is
since
great.
I just
Like
since I just shit on ChatGPT, which is a little bit, you know, more liberal leaning, dude, Grok does the same shit. I cannot stand when I am having a discussion with somebody on X where I'm pointing out that something about their worldview is just incorrect. And it's usually somebody on the right because X has become more of a right-leaning place to go now. And I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that. I don't really care. It's free market. Do what you want. But then they'll ask Grok the question. And people act like these fucking AI chatbots are like the end-all be-all of knowledge. And what they don't understand is that all chatbots are doing, and by the way, I'm not shitting on this because it's actually remarkably impressive. They're just like reading the entire internet and telling you what other people have said before. That's all a chatbot does.
right, and
It
how you
doesn't
word the
actually
prompt.
know anything. It doesn't know anything. It's just like, well, Grok says. It's
Elon says
Grok is the arbiter of truth on X now. It's annoying. You want to move on to the pathetic attempt by the Democratic Party to win back men? This is absolutely hilarious to me. This is hilarious to me. I got on this. I wasn't sure we were going to talk about it this week, but then Jake Tapper goes on his fucking book tour and like his ratings are they're plummeting worse than they were beforehand. And it's really easy to see why CNN is struggling worse than MSNBC, and Fox News is actually doing okay. And I think the reason Fox News does okay is because they kind of will call out the woke culture war stuff, and they'll kind of be right sometimes in that regard. But also, I think a lot of people watch Fox News. Don't you think so?
I'm sure they do.
I think a lot of people watch Fox News. It's all
when
garbage.
I'm really, really, really bored, I'll just switch back and forth between MSNBC and Fox News just to see how they're.
But
talking about
MSNBC in Jake Tapper's time slot, as soon as his book came out, he started promoting it on CNN. MSNBC started doing a hell of a lot better than CNN, and particularly in Jake Tapper's time slot, because CNN tried to do this phony thing where, especially after they like dumped Don Lemon and they dumped Chris Cuomo, they tried to do this phony thing where they tried to appear more in the middle. Everybody knew it was bullshit.
You know, even if it's not phony, Dan, one of the biggest, like you and I both learned in broadcasting school, was credibility is like one of the biggest things.
That's a great point.
And they could be trying, because remember, they did get I think they got a new CEO. He's been talking about trying to make the station more objectively news and not, just talking heads and stuff like that. But it's going to take them years of proving that that's what they're doing. And maybe their first attempt is the Jake Tapper book to be like, all right, but it doesn't work because no credibility.
Corey, the problem with it is Jake Tapper and this book do not help their credibility at all, because people aren't fucking stupid. They're crazy. I think people are crazy, in a general sense, but they're not stupid. And Jake Tapper, everybody knows this book is bullshit because everybody knows that Jake Tapper, for those who don't know, or maybe you're new to the show, Jake Tapper wrote a book about the decline of Joe Biden's cognitive ability. And everybody knows that CNN and people in the media knew about Joe Biden's cognitive decline as it was happening.
My 67 Corvette.
Yeah. And Jake Tapper thinks he gets to just write this book about, oh man, we were so duped and it was so bad how they just got away with propping up this fucking Weekend at Bernie's president for 4 years. And it was like, we're just astonished and stunned. I can't believe it. And everybody knows it's bullshit. So back to the question of why does MSNBC in particular, because it's not doing as well as Fox News, but I'll put both of them in there. Why do they do so much better than CNN right now, right here today? I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is very, very fucking simple. The people that watch these shows on Fox News and MSNBC are mostly boomers. We know that. The ratings show that the demographics are mostly boomers. The other thing is the people that watch these shows are hyper-partisan robots. And if you're a hyper-partisan robot, what do you want to consume? You want that fucking red meat. You want Laura Ingraham telling you what a piece of shit James Carville is. You want Rachel Maddow telling you, if you're on the left and you're an MSNBC watcher, you want her telling you that Donald Trump is a fascist who is going to start flying the swastika at the White House next week. That's what you want. You want the red meat. CNN stopped delivering the red meat and tried to make the transition. And they could have done it if they had done it in an honest way. But they're not doing it in an honest way. They're doing it in this way where they're parading out Jake Tapper and going, we didn't know. We just didn't know that Joe Biden wasn't well. If they had just come out and said, you know what? We knew. We got caught up in some bullshit, and we're sorry. They probably would have gotten shit on pretty hard for a while, but at least you're admitting what you did, and they can't even do that.
I got something to say to CNN.
Don't get bogged down by all the haters out there.
Taylor Swift has something to say.
You're gay.
Oh, dude, Santos, Jesus Christ.
But that's what it is, man. Like Fox News and MSNBC, Fox News and MSNBC, they still deliver that red meat, and it does work with a certain demographic, right? I mean, is there anything that I said about why those two networks are doing better than CNN that's wrong? I think it's exactly right. It's exactly why those networks are better, or doing better. I shouldn't say they're better. They're all trash. But it led me into this this topic of the Democratic Party. I don't know how I got here, but it did. If I'm just looking at my notes, it led me into this topic of the Democratic Party trying to regain men. Now, from a political perspective, that's a smart strategy, because it's almost like if you just tell, we'll call it, I don't know, 3/5 of the country. Not 3/5. We'll call it 1/2. Half men, half women. I don't know where I got that fraction from. I've had a few beers. It's almost like if you tell half the country that they suck and that they suck and they need to sit down and just let everybody else handle everything.
Can you shut up?
That's not to you. That's to the what they said to men. It sounded better in my head. Sorry.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. Can you just shut up? It's almost like if you do that, you're going to lose them as voters. It's really strange. So now they're trying to figure out how to get men back. And they're spending $20 million on a program called, wish I was making this up, Speaking with American Men. Now, Corey, these
the Sam Project.
Yeah, the Sam Project.
It was like you didn't explain it exactly. It's speaking with American men, a strategic plan.
A strategic plan. So they spent $20 million.
Like I feel like guys would like be more receptive if they literally called dude chasing. Because then I would be like, oh, that's funny. Like, yeah, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, just call it locker room
Go
talk.
outside, nerd.
Corey, I wish I was making this part up. These people met whoever the hell they are, these political strategists met at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco, and they met over lobster rolls to draw up this plan on how
Christ
to gain back American men. Hey, Corey, you want to figure out how to like gain the black women vote? Let's go ahead and meet at David Duke's hunting lodge and talk it over some fire roasted varmint and some fucking skeet shooting, because that's what this is. You're talking about trying to win men back,
right? And it's funny you say. I'm so glad you made that comparison, because I was gonna say, the fuck, like, no, go to just a NASCAR event, or like go to like a fucking football game, meet in a suite. You're already elitist. Like I'm past that point, but at least go to a football game or something that has like what men like, and what men are all full of is just,
I don't know, maybe talk about
it.
Maybe we're perpetuating male stereotypes, but like I am a dude and I know what I think I know what my stereotypes are. You know what I like? I like red meat, I like beer, and I like sports. Like those are the things that I enjoy in life besides politics, because I am a little bit of a nerd in that way. But it's like, I don't know, maybe don't advertise that you're meeting at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco and having lobster rolls and tomato paninis to discuss how to get men.
It would just make them so much more relatable if they were like, yeah, they met at a park and barbecued some glizzies. Like
it's like when they sat down and tried to figure out how to help the working
and then call
class,
the event bad day to be a hot dog or something. Like, I don't know. Like that would be really fucking funny. It's like, all right, that sounds like something put on by guys.
It's like and this actually happened. They're like trying to figure out how to like help the working class or win back the working class, and they have the meeting at fucking Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing? That shit actually happened. So they met at the Ritz-Carlton.
Like, no, just go have that at a fucking break room at a factory 20 fucking feet down the road. Like, it's just so out of fucking touch. How do we get our Joe Rogan? I don't know. Don't exclude the Joe Rogan that was already kind of on your side about a lot of shit.
Right, that interviewed and voted for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders? Yeah, Bernie Sanders for
Barney Sandals.
Barney Sandals. Like a South Park character.
The mayor of Vermont.
So things that are included in this plan, Corey, they plan to study the syntax and what gains virality in online spaces for men. You're going to study the syntax of men? Like, what? Why do you have to use these fucking big ass words? There's nothing to study. We are not a very complicated sex. We're not a very complicated species. Just all we want, all men really, really want, is to be heard, which the Democratic Party hasn't done a very good job of doing.
No, Dad, they're eating lobster biscuits under this
lobster rolls, Corey. Get it right. I'm not gonna lie. I do love a good lobster roll. It's very delicious. A buttery bun.
I do love lobster.
So you would probably enjoy. You like lobster. You don't like anything.
I just paid $88.
No, when it comes to seafood, like I'll eat calamari, I'll eat lobster, I'll eat crab, I'll eat crawdads, like a crawfish boil. It's good stuff.
It's
salmon,
good stuff.
cod, smelt. Yeah, no, I like seafood.
So the DNC also plans on buying ads in things like video games. So imagine blowing up your buddy's face with a bazooka at point blank range in a rousing game of Call of Duty, only to be interrupted by a Planned Parenthood ad before respawn. That'll get the gamers. That'll get the gamers. Now, if we're
my
talking about, hold
God.
on. Now, if we're talking about like you're rubbing one out watching Pornhub, and then like an AOC campaign ad comes up right before the money shot, maybe you could get some osmosis effect from that because people just want to date her.
Yeah. No, AOC is really pretty.
It also cautions Dems to shift from a moralizing tone.
Through the syntax while they eat lobster.
Oh, could you pass the aioli while we discuss how to win men back?
Very successful, very rich.
It's Corey. 100%. It's all rich. It's all rich white people. So, men, I would say this. Men, I would say actually anybody. This isn't just a man thing. This is anybody. You don't want to be broken down into an algorithm and like decoded, you know?
Right.
They just want to be understood. They want to stop being shoved out of the way, you know, and told their opinion on anything doesn't matter because they have a dick and balls.
Right. And in society, I'm even okay with that happens in culture and society. It's just you don't need a political platform that like wink wink nudge nudge to that narrative.
Yeah, it's all to that point, Corey. How many times did we see over the last, I don't know, call it 10 years roughly, of like liberal normies talking on social media and saying something to the effect of it's all men's fault, the white men, you know, like when talking about like the state of the country or the world, and then they go, these men are racist misogynists for not voting for a black woman. It's almost like I don't want to be a part of a group that doesn't want me, right? And honestly, like I'm no longer a Democrat, not because of any of this shit. I could give a shit less if Democrats want to like shove men to the side. I'm not a Democrat anymore for way more principled reasons than that, not because I'm offended, right? I'm not a Democrat because they're the same as Republicans is something that I figured out. That was a really difficult worldview for me to understand. When it comes to anything that matters, they're exactly the same. That's why I'm no longer a Democrat. It's also why I didn't become a Republican. But like, yeah, guys and anybody, they don't want to be a member of a club where they're not allowed to have input. Where they're told they're the enemy. This is all your fault.
Like, right. And that's just it. Like we're boys, you know, we're tough. We're not necessarily tough, but we like push each other. We like punch each other in the face. We like punch each other in the face a couple times. We like shooting guns. We like drinking beer. We like barbecuing. We like sports. We like being outside. We like being in nature. We like adventures.
You know what's so funny though?
Like it's
so
just like how like
stuff.
Right, because like it's not that hard to create the demographic or the archetype of just your average male.
It's so interesting.
What I just said encompasses doesn't matter race, doesn't matter religion, doesn't matter anything, you know, cars, racing, you know, like you go like it's so simple.
It's so interesting that you mention all those things because everything that you just said, a lot like what I said maybe 5 minutes ago, it really is like a goofy caricature of what it is to be a man. If you don't understand what it is to be a man,
but that's how you get in the foot. What I'm basically just mentioning is getting your foot in the fucking door.
No, I'm not saying that as if it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that like from an informational perspective, Democrats kind of understood that like those are the things that men enjoy, but they didn't understand it on any sort of deep level, which the deeper part of all of the things that you just mentioned, you know, why do we like getting together, drinking beer? Why do we like getting together, going fishing, playing golf? Why do men like doing these things?
It's encoded to have that adversaries, or what's that word? I'm not
No,
saying it
no,
right.
no. Where I was going with that is like it sounds so like simpleton and silly and fucking backwoods and hick almost, but it's like there's a camaraderie to it. Like men have always gotten looked at by men or by women as if in a general sense, like we're like these silly creatures that don't care about anything. But it's like, no, we do, and we need these things for our mental health. You know, like camaraderie to men. I've noticed this especially as I've gotten older. Camaraderie to men is so fucking important.
Oh yeah,
Like
and the
just
lack of it
knowing
will
that
treat you like a
knowing that
motherfucker.
you have a boy that you can call and just be like, bro, can we just like sit in front of a bonfire and have a beer?
Yeah, I need a beer.
Like that's our way of decompressing.
You know, or like,
And
yeah, when one of your
where I was-
friends goes, yeah, my dad just died. You just text, you want to drink a beer about it?
come on over, man. Let's have a beer. Let's start a
Yeah.
bonfire. You know what I mean? Or like, my thing is golf. That's our thing to like kind of decompress and what's good for our mental health, because we've gotten into this society where it's like we're over therapized, we're over coddled. Like, it's not your fault. You need to talk about these things. You need to talk about these things. And men will talk about these things, but they don't talk about these things because they're told to talk about them. They talk about these things when they're ready. And also men talk about these things in their own way. Like I like to express my negative emotions, or like, say I had a family member who died or something like that, and I'm feeling really, really shitty. I express a lot of that stuff through humor. Like,
Yeah, same here.
What I want to do is I want to go out and have golf, and I want to tell jokes about the person that just passed away. And that is my way as a man. And I know a lot of men are like this. They're
Right.
just like me.
Yeah, and you wouldn't believe it. They died just in the way you would expect them to, right? Like when my dog died, for example, like she was a boxer, and when she died in my arms, I had to put her down because she kept like she was having strokes and seizures to the point where like I think she had like dog dementia or something. But she gets put down, and then like I'm trying to like in your mind, you're like thinking like, all right, like the most respectful thing I can do to her is like close her eyes with my hands, like I use my thumb, my two fingers, and like tried to close her eyes, make it dignified for her. Those motherfuckers pop right back open because they're buggy fucking eyes like on a boxer, and I went, Jesus! Like her tongue's all big and hanging out, and I'm trying to tuck it in, and it was like it's one of the saddest moments of my life, but there was a lot of humor to it, and it's just how you talk. Like sometimes that's how guys talk about things.
And that's kind of how guys grieve. They not only death, but like they grieve relationships that way. You break up with a girlfriend or whatever.
Right. And you're like, yeah, we broke up, but guess what? She didn't unlick my asshole. Like,
oh.
You're gay.
But like, to that point, to everything that we just said, it seemed like the Democratic Party, even through Kamala Harris's campaign, they understood those things, but from a really robotic level. And men sense that, right? When you're marching out Tim Walz going, I own guns, I like to hunt, I'm just a humble knucklehead. We all knew it was fake. There was nothing genuine to what Tim Walz gave to that campaign. Men knew for every minute that it was fake, and women went, oh yeah, we're bringing men back. This is great. Because, like, women don't understand. We don't expect you to. It's okay. Just like ladies, we don't understand certain aspects of the way you guys communicate.
No, yeah,
it's fine.
It's far cry. Like it would sound clownish if you asked us to describe like the stereotype of a woman, right? We would sound like, we'd sound like fucking a monkey trying to screw a coconut. Like, I don't know, nails. They like to get your nails did. Like, or
Corey, you could get it right, but then you would sound.
But
like
in reverse, Terry.
You're gay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to get, hold on. I want to play a video that is an example of just that. This came out from the Harris campaign. I don't remember seeing this, and I'm really upset that I didn't, because we would have spent so much time on the show making fun of this. This was actually an ad that was released during the Harris campaign that is everything that we're discussing about how the Democratic Party just could not understand men on any deep level. They just perpetuated all of the stereotypes and kind of the way that at least the Democratic Party thinks women want men to be. I don't even necessarily think women want men to be this way.
And I don't really like going back to what we were saying really quick. I don't really know like much about women, like we were saying. Like I made the joke about nails, but what I do know is
maybe you go down on her, dude. Don't be selfish. Don't be sexist.
Here's the ad. It was called Man Enough, and this was a Harris Waltz ad. And you tell me, Corey, I don't know if you ever saw this. You tell me what you think about this. I'm going to take a leak while this is playing because I've seen it.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's hair.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast. I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of. Women. I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a family? I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in the eye and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of donuts I like.
Man enough to admit I'm lost, even when I refuse to ask for directions.
Man enough to not ban young women from reading Little Women.
Or one of those pants books that the sisters like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it. I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story. That and Predator.
And I'm sick of so-called men domineering, belittling, and controlling women just so they can feel more powerful.
That's not how my mama raised me.
I love women.
I love women who support their families.
Women who decide not to have families.
Women who take charge.
And I'm man enough to help them win.
On a scale of 1 to vomit, how cringe was that fucking ad? Corey's speechless. That was an actual campaign ad. Yes, that was an actual campaign ad.
What? Send me that link first off.
I will.
Send me that link
I got it
because I need that. Because what the fuck was that?
It was like a woman wrote that campaign ad. That's what it was.
I think AI wrote that campaigin ad.
Yeah, well, that's not giving enough credit to AI. Not actually, that sounded bad. That sounded really misogynist. That's not what I meant. What I mean is, I feel like AI understands men and what they want better than women do. And I'm not saying that to be disparaging to women. It's just that there are certain things about being a man you can't understand, just like there are certain things about being a woman I can't understand.
Just bullshitting on the right topic around your fucking Traeger while we're smoking cigars would be better than that. And we could have made that with $100, a better ad than that. Should we start making campaign ads, Dan? That's what I'm taking away from this, because what the fuck? How much do you think they spent on that?
Dude, I don't know, but they're about to spend $20 million to try to put ads in fucking video games.
Can't wait for that. Jesus Christ.
You were speechless, right? I didn't see
that.
Dude,
I'm watching that and I'm like, dude, this can't be real. This can't be
real. That was a genuine campaign ad.
Where did they play that ad at?
I don't know. But that was a real I don't know. Maybe it was never released. I don't know. Maybe one of our listeners can tell us. I have no clue. I never saw it. But you can see there's Kamala, there's Tim right there. That humble knucklehead. That humble knucklehead.
Yeah,
Tim Walz.
Is this like someone that regurgitated it? Like who's the channel name?
This is the real. I think this is the real one. This was from no, this is the Man Enough Harris Waltz ad.
What's the channel though?
I don't know, some guy named Jacob Reed.
Okay.
Shout out to Jacob Reed, I guess.
Okay,
I'll send it to you if you want to rewatch it over and over.
You're gay.
Oh shit, buddy! I gotta dig a little deeper.
but like that is how the Democratic Party views men right there. That ad. And it's like,
I ain't afraid of a carburetor.
Yeah, it's just like,
no, nobody. That's just it, right? Okay, so that right there,
hold on,
that right there,
before
Dan,
you
real
go,
quick, no guy is excited about fucking with a carburetor. They're pissed.
Yeah,
because it goes bad at the wrong moment. So you don't have
when
an
you need
ad
it.
where the guy's like, I ain't afraid of a carburetor. It's like you could have been like, had to change the fucking carburetor.
We've had that discussion.
Yeah,
I've had several like lawnmowers and snowblowers that needed a new carburetor. I'm like, motherfucker, I had a goddamn.
No guy says, I ain't afraid to cry during West Side Story. They go, yeah, West Side Story.
The thing about it is, like,
it got me.
Everything in this ad is like, it's true on almost like a mathematical level.
Right.
This is not how men communicate.
Right. That's what I mean. That's why I said it feels like AI. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, they had the obese guy. They had the skinny guy. They had the black person. They literally hit all the tropes for.
They had to put all. Yeah, they had to represent everybody, which again is something that men.
The only one that was like. The only one that was like. And I don't even own a horse.
And he takes the fat
smidgen
of
that was like relatable. That I think an actual real guy would say, where it's like, they're like, I'm not afraid to show emotion in front of my kids. I'm not afraid to show emotion in front of my wife. And the one goes, I'm not afraid to show emotion in front of my horse.
You know what, Corey?
Like, I get that.
It kind of boils down to like the communication of men, right? Like, so I think this is actually something I can say confidently about.
This is confident, right? Because it can't be replicated, I feel like.
Well, here's why. I'm gonna tell you why. And I think this is something that I think I actually know about the difference between men and women on a general level, is that women, they really communicate hard through words, man. It's what women do. They'll tell you. Men communicate more through like actions. As we said, God forbid your dad passes away soon. We're not rooting for that, knock on wood. But like you text me and Bell and you go, hey man, my dad just died. I'm kind of going through it right now. And Bell and mine's action would be, fuck, come over and have a bonfire. We'll chat about it.
Right.
We'll tell stories about old Denny.
Right. And then or even that, right? And then like for guys, just says more than a million words ever could. Guys just communicate differently, and this isn't it. This
is not it. Right. This ain't it.
That ain't it.
But this is like, if this is what you think is going to get men back to the Democratic Party, dude.
Liberty Twitcher just showed up. God damn it, Liberty Twitcher, you showed up.
Show's over.
No. He missed. He would have got a kick out of that. He would have fucking loved that video. That's for sure.
Liberty, go back and listen to the podcast, because I think you'd like that one. We've been talking about this for 10 minutes.
Harris Kamala, fucking
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
You want to get to your TikTok score, or do we have any other topics?
What do we have?
By the way, I'll just mention this because I have it written in my notes. Democrats' polling numbers are atrocious, and
with men, they're
no. I mean overall, and going back, with men in particular, but overall they're shitty. And going back to like the Jake Tapper CNN conversation, like the corporate media is acting like they're surprised by the shitty polling numbers. Not that Trump's are a whole lot better, but they're better. They're a little better. Everybody hates the government, and they should hate the government.
Right. That's the most American thing that I could possibly see, that all Americans, regardless of party, has like a 30% approval rating of our government. That's where I find hope. Everyone's just like, we're sick and tired of this shit.
They're cheating. They're crooked. They're corrupt.
All right. You want some TikTok videos?
Yeah, I think my headphones are going to die soon, but that's all right. I'll figure something out. I did not prepare well. I did not prepare my equipment well enough.
You're fine.
I think I got
All right. You ready? This one's a little bit of a callback to the Palantir. The Palantir video.
Guy looks like your buddy Andy, like a fat version of him.
This Palantir thing is a great measuring stick of whether or not you're actually a conservative or you're just a Trump sycophant. Because if you're an actual
seriously overweight,
you don't fucking support this. So let me just say this to any of my fellow conservative creators that are making content supporting this. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is pure government favors and overreach. This is not okay. Like, this is just a bullshit way to funnel money to Peter Thiel. Well, let's be real. I don't want involved in anything to do with our fucking government. And a massive overreach of the privacy of American citizens. This plan is absolute and total dog shit and should not be supported by anybody who calls themselves a conservative. Like, this is the creation of a database of American citizens' personal information. This is the Patriot Act all over again. Like, let me just express this very fucking clearly. I do not in any way support this proposal, and anyone who likes to call themselves a conservative and does support it, just admit that you'll support the sacrifice of your freedoms and your liberty because Trump did it. We have to be willing to call out bullshit on both sides, and this is epic levels of bullshit.
It's so interesting. It's almost like in certain circles, conservatism.
Look how he resonated with men. Look at that. In his fucking bathroom. Paying $200 on a phone bill. Hey, like in mid shit, this guy made a better video resonating with men than
dude. It's like it's almost like this kind of speaks to the political realignment that we're seeing in this country, where you're seeing conservatism no longer meaning like conservation of as things are, and
we're
like
seeing,
shrinking government, but instead conservatism now means conserving your safety, right? Like we have to go after the terrorists and we have to kick out all the immigrants. Like this is what we're trying to conserve, when this is just big government bullshit. And then from the left, from a liberal perspective, we're seeing things like what happened with the Twitter files and like shutting down free speech. And it's like, it's horseshoe theory coming to fruition. If you go far enough left and you go far enough right, eventually you end up in the same fucking place. And we're getting closer and closer to that breaking point.
Yeah. So I have
Is this Tim Dillon watching like Miss Rachel or something?
Yeah, it is. And I meant to get
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. By the way, Miss Rachel is a hold on, pause it real quick. I have to mention this.
This is Hamas propaganda. Let's stop this for a minute because this is insane. It is propaganda. Miss Rachel with the a girl who lost both of her legs in Gaza. And again, you might think that's wrong. You might think that's wrong from the comfort of your house. You might not understand why it's right. Because, as Douglas Murray would say, you're in the comfort of your home. You're in the comfort of your home. People in the Western world, in your cul-de-sacs and your suburbs, don't understand why that girl's legs needed to be off her body. You understand that? Maybe you're confused. You better get the memo. You better get the program as to why that she needs to have no legs. But you'd understand that if you weren't so goddamn soft.
What I was going to say is, I don't even have kids, and I fucking love Miss Rachel.
Dude, you should watch Bluey.
I have.
Bluey's a
here and there.
One.
Miss Rachel's an anti-Semite. I don't know if you knew that.
I knew that's what you were going to say, and that's why I said shut.
No, I was going to say I love Miss Rachel.
but I feel like Tim Dillon basically said what I think we were almost the caveat you were going to try to give. Am I right?
No, I was going to say I love Miss Rachel.
Oh,
I'm not always that intellectual, Corey.
so this next one I thought was really fucking funny. And I figured I'd share it with you.
BBC News has exclusive new reporting that Tulsi Gabbard, the nation's highest-ranking intelligence official, is considering a major overhaul of President Trump's daily briefing to make it more like his preferred way of consuming information. And that includes creating a version that looks like a Fox News show.
So we looked back at his public schedule, and in the first several months of his presidency, that is from his inauguration until the end of May, which of course was last week, President Trump received, according to his public schedule, 14 presidential daily briefings. Now, for perspective, during his first term in office, only several years ago, he received 55 briefings in that same period of time. And according to some of his other predecessors, including President Joe Biden, received 90 in that same period of time. Now, officials we spoke with said that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is very aware of the fact that President Trump simply is not taking the PDB as often as he did in the past and his predecessors have. As part of that and as part of her job, she is trying to look at ways to recast the PDB, essentially to make the president want to take it more, to make it more of a form the way that he likes to consume information. Presidents, according to the officials, have taken it differently in every different term. For instance, President Obama liked to read his PDB while he was on the treadmill. President George W. Bush liked to read it in front of some of his officials so he could ask questions in real time. As part of these discussions, Tulsi Gabbard has reached out to current and former officials. One of the ideas that has come up, Chris, has been to make it into essentially a newscast, to make it look more like the sort of information that the president likes to consume, that is Fox News. Now, at this point, there is no decision made to actually do that, but that is one of the ideas that is under discussion, Chris.
This reminds me of like a child sitting in a high chair that you're trying to feed, and you got to do the airplane.
You know, it's hilarious.
The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying.
It's hilarious when you think about that it has to do with Trump, but it's fucking genius on Tulsi's side, right? She's just trying to do her fucking job.
Right, I guess.
She's like, I gotta get this information to him.
It's like when you're trying to give a dog medicine and you have to wrap it in fucking cheese just to get it to swallow the
dude. Exactly.
It's exactly what it is. You got any gay ones?
I do.
I'm waiting.
You're gay.
I got this one for you first.
I never thought we'd have Taylor Swift as a drop on the show. Oh, it's Jank.
There's a bit of a MAGA rebellion against Israel. So Thomas Massey tweeted out a couple of days ago that nothing justifies the tens of thousands of civilians that Israel has massacred in Gaza. And he said we should end all funding to Israel immediately. Marjorie Taylor Greene came on our show, The Young Turks. You can check that out on YouTube, 6 o'clock Eastern every night. And she said we should end all funding to Israel. Obviously, Tucker Carlson believes that. Many other right-wing hosts believe that. They even had a bill that was going to be introduced in the House that would have said boycotting Israel will lead to the United States government punishing you, including American citizens. And Marjorie Taylor Greene and MAGA led a rebellion against that and killed that bill. So they're losing the right wing. They're killing way too many people and taking way too much money from us doing it. So that rebellion is real, and I welcome it. There's a bit of a MAGA against.
Is that Jank?
Yeah,
sort of
Jank.
Loving on. No, I know it's Jank, but is it Jank sort of loving on Marjorie Taylor Greene a little bit?
You know, so like a broken clock is right twice a day, and I
The
think
low
it's
key.
important.
By the way,
when
Marjorie Taylor Greene, the low key baddie.
I know you say that. I think it's
She's
like
got-
she's the one that made me even talk about my theory about blonde hair in the first place.
I know, because she's a complete butterface. Like, she's not pretty, but like her body is for her age. You know, just saying. Low key baddie, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Low key baddie. All right, and then here's one for Pride, because I really elaborated this on the beginning of the show. So if you're just tuning in now and you're watching, then I please implore you to watch, to at least listen to this episode afterwards when I'm talking about this, and the idea that
Smash that like button.
There are grifters in every quadrant, and I'm seeing recently in the LGBTQ community, people within that community like calling them out. And I'm really, really glad to see it, because all it's going to do is help the LGBT.
You're gay.
So here's a video.
I walked in, I found a stall, I peed standing up.
Hi, we've already been over this. I'm a trans non-binary person, and I really don't talk about it on social media because there's a certain percentage of my identity
Freaks me out. She looks like my ex-girlfriend.
Remain private. It's personally nobody's fucking business.
With way shittier makeup.
I don't mind being misgendered, although the people who do mind are completely valid in those feelings. I don't mind using a bathroom that seems, most passing for my gender.
You're gay.
Representation, and other people
God damn it.
don't do that, and that's completely valid too. Lily, bitch, girlfriend, honey, why did you walk up into fucking Disney World like you just mugged a fucking 5-year-old outside of the fucking bitch, put their clothes on, and started hunting up in that bitch like you were a WWE wrestler about to throw the fuck down? And then your post was highlighted around the fact that you needed to tinkle, so you were going to use the ladies' room, and then you peed standing up. There are people who will make a laughing fucking stock of the trans community without any help. Why does it feel like Lily is actively and intentionally making a joke out of the trans community? Because here's the thing, as a trans person, I don't
Maybe
like
she
it when
is.
people joke about trans people.
Yeah,
But
she said
even
she is.
before I knew who I was, it made me sick, the idea that a community that persevering, that brave, that colorful, that creative, that loving was constantly put into this punchline of a joke. The trans people were constantly being mocked and joked about and harassed. It makes me sick. I hate it, the amount of hate that we get. It seems so unnecessary for someone simply trying to be alive. And trying to be alive in a way that doesn't make them want to fucking die. But Lily, what the fuck is your deal? Like, what's your problem? You seem like the only trans person that I've ever met in my fucking life that has actually made me feel embarrassed to be trans. I watch your shit and I'm like, oh. Well, if I hadn't cringed yet today, I just fucking did. Like, what the fuck is going on? For people outside of the community, Lily does not represent us as a whole, and I really, really hope that you know that.
Stop me. I walked in.
I think they, I don't know what to call this person, would be more surprised than they realize about the amount of people that do realize that people like Lily don't represent the community. We talk about it on this show all the time.
Yeah.
You could tell that the trans TikTok influencers that are just in it for the attention, which I think is what this person was pointing out, right? That's essentially what Lily is. Nobody cares. I see it even on Twitter, where it can get really nasty, where you'll see like a trans person spilling their feelings about, like, I can't believe, they'll say something like super political, like, I can't believe right wingers and MAGA, they all want me dead, and people just like me dead. And then like at least half of the comments are people that voted for Trump that was like, sweetie, nobody wants to see you dead. We just don't want like an ideology spread to our children. Like, live your life, queen. You know what I mean? Like, there's a ton of that out there that doesn't get any of the, because it doesn't generate clicks, but there's so much of that out there. Nobody cares.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the things that'll help the community the most is people within the community actually calling out the grifters and all of them. And
Dylan
fucking
Mulvaney got a Bud Light
corporations
deal.
and corporations to stop fucking essentially pimping them out through a grift, make a quick buck.
We could sell merch.
Very successful, very rich.
Yeah, see, Liberty Twitcher said, most of us defend the rights of trans to be trans, just as we defend gays and have defended gays going back to the days of Charlton Heston and Ronald Reagan.
Well, I got some words. Taylor Swift's got some words for you, Liberty.
You're gay.
But we don't support special rights or tampons in boys' bathrooms.
That's the thing. It's like, I know what he means when he says that. I'm assuming you're gender again, Liberty. I'm sorry. I know what he means when he says that, but they're like, genuinely, there's no such thing as special rights, which I think is kind of your point. Like,
well, I
think
think
there's no such thing as special rights.
I guess, I mean, it could be argued because like there isn't necessarily, like, I don't know, is calling a white person a cracker considered hate speech?
No, because hate speech isn't a thing.
Well, that's true.
It's not
I
even a
know.
thing. It
On
doesn't
principle,
exist.
we agree with that, but like when you're not allowed to say certain things about certain people.
Okay, I should rephrase that. Hate speech is a thing culturally.
Like
but
you
it's
become a
certainly not
protected
thing in the
class.
law.
Like, and I guess like when you talk about special rights, you have to expound, right? Like how big are special rights? Like are we talking about protected speech? Or are we narrowing it down to just being able to use the same bathrooms because we had that conversation, 70 years ago during the civil rights movement.
We've had it on this show.
Right.
You
I don't think it's an issue. Like when it, like for the most part, like if a guy is a passable woman and she wants to be called she, her, and I can't tell the difference, and or not even necessarily that I can't tell the difference, but if someone's going into the bathroom and they look like a woman, they're probably going in there to use the stall.
Liberty also said we don't support special rights we glossed over the tampons in boys' rooms. Honestly, I don't even care about that. The only thing is I don't want it mandated by the government, right? Like if a bar decides they want to put tampons in their men's room, I wouldn't care. Whatever, do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like if it wasn't like federally, I guess like just an ever encroachment on the government. Like
I don't want it mandated by the government
on something like that, because then you're creating a whole committee just to oversee it and an oversight group and then a department to look at it.
Walk into a bar and you see tampons, like a tampon machine in the men's room. I would look at that and go, that seems unnecessary. And then I would walk out.
I would probably like, depending on how drunk I was at the bar, I might buy one and toss it in a friend's drink just to watch it blow up and expand.
So it's so funny you mentioned
but
that.
Going back to like whether it's mandated by the government or if it's like private. I was in West Hollywood in California,
funny story, but I'm not going to tell it now.
I was in West Hollywood in California, and the bars that me and my wife were going to with a buddy and his now wife, all the bathrooms were unisex, and it was the most efficient thing I've ever dealt with when it came to a crowded bar's bathroom in my entire life. There were no kids there. It was all adults. But I didn't have to wait in a line at all.
And there were tampons in there, I assume?
Yeah, because it's a guy's and a girl's bathroom.
I did that once, the neutral bathroom. I was on a golf course. Saw it. I had some quarters in my pocket. I bought a couple. And then when I outdrove my buddy, I pulled the Tiger Woods on Justin Thomas and I gave him a tampon. Because that's funny. I'm stronger than you.
You're gay.
And I said that. as I handed him the tampon. You got any more?
No, that's it.
I was gonna say I don't know how much life is left on these headphones. I got to remember to charge as we end the show. Why don't you tell the people where they can find us, Corey?
Sure. Libservative Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
You're gay.
That's right. He is always has been Corey Walsh.
And he's Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, and the world's smartest podcast.
It's just bullshit.
It's totally bullshit. But until next time,
We have white privilege.
and we are.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.